Tick, 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 tick.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. On behalf of the Jefferson and Fort Chambers of Commerce, we're glad to be able to provide this opportunity to learn more about our candidates for assembly. So thank you for coming, for tuning in to learn more. The questions that we're going to be asking tonight, we surveyed members of the Fort and Jefferson Chambers to kind of learn about what issues were important to them, and that's how we came up with the topics that we will be asking about tonight. We'll be asking up to 10 questions on 10 different topics, and each candidate will have a chance to respond to all of the questions. There will be a 2-minute time limit for each question. The timer is located next to Logan, our moderator. When the timer goes off, we are asking the candidates to please finish your sentence and finish your response just to respect the time. For the crowd here tonight, we ask that you are also respectful of our candidates here, and please refrain from applauding, booing, any other noise making of any kind
No booing
while they are giving their responses.
We're laughing, no laughing.
No laughing.
This hour we have candidates from District 46 here. District 46 covers Waterloo, Lake Mills, Cottage Grove, Deerfield, Cambridge, and Fort Atkinson, and all of the small towns in between. So we have Joan Fitzgerald and Jennifer Quimby. When you walked in tonight, the tables over by the doorway have lots of different information on the districts, on voter registration, on your polling places. So please stop by there at some point tonight if you haven't already. With that, I will hand things over to Logan.
All right, we will get started with a pretty easy question. Tell us a bit about yourself and why you are running for the state assembly. Let's start with Jill.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having us here tonight. This is really a great opportunity to talk a little bit about the issues and about our campaigns. So I'm running for state assembly pretty much, I really want to bring common sense, collaborative, responsive representation to the assembly. If we listen to voters, if we listen to each other, I think we can really solve problems. If we focus on things we share, the shared values, things we have in common, we can really move this state forward. So I'm a retired teacher. I taught for 33 years here in Jefferson at the high school. For the last 5 years, I've been on the county board. And I'm really excited just to bring all of that experience to the state assembly. There are some issues that are really important to me. Ones I hear from people at doors that are also important to me. I think reproductive rights is an incredibly important issue in this election. Repealing the 1849 abortion law, preserving women's freedom to choose their own health care. Public schools is a major issue in this area. Many districts either went to referendum in April or will be this November. So I think we really need to address that issue. And for me personally, gun violence prevention is really important. I've worked in that area for a little bit. There's no reason we have to live in a country where gun violence is the #1 killer of children. It doesn't have to be this way. So I'm hoping we can make some progress there. Overall, I'm just excited to get to the assembly and get to work moving Wisconsin forward.
All right, thank you, Joan. Jennifer.
I don't think we need this, do we? I'm Jenny Quimby. I'm actually the mayor of Waterloo. I've been on city council for 16 years, and I served 9 years on the school board before I got elected to be mayor in 2019. I was a small business owner for 20 years, and right after I sold my building and my business, that's when they repealed the personal tax law, so you're all welcome for that. I have 27 years in purchasing and operations management. I have a business in operations management degree, and I have a long history of being in business, running a business, owning a business, and being a part of the city and the schools. Having been to almost all 19 of the municipalities' meetings, we share a lot of the same problems. We don't have enough money for our roads, for our fire, for our EMS, and all things in between just to employ people. And I want to make sure we have that for our emergency services specifically. So I'm running to be a municipal voice, and I want to bring my experience in education to the state and work with everyone just like I do at City Council.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so our next question will be, what would you do or what have you done to improve the quality of life for the constituents in your district? We'll start with Jennifer.
Well, one of the things I did is I eliminated the law on sidewalks. So sidewalks are a real big issue for every community. And I've said this at a couple of different meetings and people were like, you did what? So our council got together and we realized sidewalks were a sore subject for people, especially when you're coming in to do a road project and somebody already did a sidewalk several years earlier and we're saying, nope, everything has to get redone. And so we changed that because I said, you don't necessarily pay for the asphalt in front of your house, but we ask you to shovel the sidewalk and mow the lawn in between. And then on top of it, we're asking you to pay for it. It's a public entity. So we eliminated that in Waterloo. Other things that I've done just simply on city council is to be more open for people. We record our meetings and we also have, I have all the department heads speak about what they're working on because a lot of those departments aren't videotaped and aren't really reported on. So people can hear what's going on in all the departments so that we've become more transparent.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Same question to you, Jill.
I think, for me, quality of life, means a lot. When I'm driving around the district, I'm constantly reminded what a wonderful place this is to live and work and raise a family. We have wonderful parks, open spaces. I just heard today from a gentleman who was telling me how wonderful Court Park is. So, I think all of those are really important to quality of life. On the county board, we do a lot with respect to county parks and making sure we preserve those for people. We've made some great progress in improving pedestrian paths and the interurban bike trail up towards the Watertown area. I think the other part about quality of life is making sure that not only can we work here, our kids can go to good schools, having good quality broadband access. On the county board, I was chair of the broadband committee, and I think that adds a lot to preserving what we love about this area and making it accessible to businesses and schools and so on. So, for me, those are the things that I think are important to our residents and important to me when we look at quality of life.
All right, thank you. Our next question. The state of Wisconsin, like many other areas of the country, is facing higher interest rates and a housing supply shortage of both single and multi-unit homes. What actions do you believe the state government should take to ensure Wisconsinites have access to affordable housing?
Yeah, clearly housing is a very important issue to the people in this area. As you said, housing prices are going up. Rent is going up. We had good news this week. The feds dropped the interest rate. That should help to make housing a little bit more affordable. On a state level, last summer, the governor did sign into law 5 bipartisan housing bills to help increase the supply of housing in the state. I would have supported those bills. I think that's a very important step for the state to take. On a county level, we've also done the same thing, created a revolving loan fund to help developers come to our county and increase the supply of housing. So there are certainly things like that that we can do on the state level, and I would support all of that. And as you said, we need a variety of housing in all areas of this district. It's an incredibly important issue, and we'll continue to work on that at the state level.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to Jennifer.
Well, what she said is very true. We do have a housing shortage, but we also have other problems. Not necessarily we have a short housing shortage, but we also have an issue being able to build a lot of houses. Obviously, interest rates are a big part of it. We still have shortages just on things like electricity. The transformers that we need to get in for some of these things are still too far out. So COVID still kind of has a little effect on some of the supply chain. But in my community specifically, we have problems with the DOT and the DNR, and there's so many rules and regulations. And we're actually having that conversation at Jefferson County. We have bi-monthly meetings with them, and we just had another big one with Thrive and Michael Best. They're lobbyists that go to the state, and they were asking all the community members, what is it that you need? And some of it is just straight up restrictions that we have. And with the supply costs of things right now, we just need to get that down so people can afford it. Housing is way too expensive right now, and we need a variety of things. So Waterloo is working hard, and I know other communities are trying too, but we need to be there to support them and give them the tools that they can use to actually build something.
All right, thank you. Our next question. Many businesses across the state of Wisconsin are struggling to find workers. How do you plan to address the labor shortage that many industries are facing?
Honestly, I don't even know how to answer that. Seriously, oh, can't hear me? Yeah, that fan is on. I said, I really don't know how to answer that. That isn't something I deal with at City Hall. It's not like people come up to us regarding labor. I don't see a lot of help wanted signs in Waterloo, which is a good thing, I think. I honestly, I don't know how to answer that. I really don't have a clue how you face that, how you help with that. You know, people need to work. I think part of the problem, I personally think that we need to have more people in the tech schools. I don't think pushing everybody to go to college right out of high school is necessarily the right thing for everybody. So I know the trades are suffering. So I think we probably need to look more at that and find a way to get the trades moving again and make that a thing people want to do.
All right, thank you. We'll go next to Joan.
I would say one of the things that I hear a lot from people is how important childcare is to making sure people can work, can get to their job, making sure childcare is accessible and affordable in this state, I think would go a long way to making sure people are available to work. I was chatting with the gentleman yesterday who was telling me he was home for the day, not by choice. He was watching his children because his childcare center had closed. And for him, thankfully, he had the kind of job that he could work from home. But I think it illustrates just really how important childcare is to the workers of this state. The Child Care Counts program was incredibly effective at keeping childcare centers open, making it affordable for parents, and paying their employees a living wage. So I would continue supporting that program because I think it's vitally important to making sure people can work. So for me, childcare is really the biggest issue there.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, the manufacturing industry in Jefferson County is rapidly growing with recent announcements of large investments from companies like Atkinson Bio, Nestle Purina, and Kikkoman. How do you plan to support sustainable economic development in Jefferson County's rural communities?
That's to me first,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to see the amount of development that has occurred in this area. Kikkoman, you've talked about some of the other ones, incredibly important for this area. On the other side of our district, there's just broke ground on an Amazon facility. So there's huge economic development happening really all over this district. And I think we do need to support that and continue that. Big companies, small employers, family-owned businesses are all really important. I think, what Kikkoman kind of illustrates in the economic development world is that local, county, and state government all together need to work to support development in the area. When the Kikkoman plant was, in its early stages, the WEDC, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, worked with our local governments to support that financially and in other ways, just providing resources and support. So I think, ultimately for economic development, it's those partnerships that will sustain the development and bring more development in. And as an assembly person, that's kind of how I see my role, right? I'm the state representative in that, supporting the county, kind of talking up the county. We want development here, and I see that as the state's role in business development.
Thank you. We'll go next to Jennifer.
Well, supporting that needs housing. So that kind of goes hand in hand. If you have businesses coming in, you need to be able to have places for them to live. So there's been multiple times we've seen stuff with the economic development from Jefferson County that they put out these ads and say, okay, what community can support this? It needs to be close to this, that, and the other thing, highways, railroads, whatever. And the biggest thing is where are you going to put them? People want to be able to move to the community closest, at least, to where they're working. So having housing to support that is one key, as well as having the rules that we can assist them with. I mean, right now, TIF is what everybody uses, and we're back to using a pay-go versus a pay up front. But that also comes with a cost. So there's got to be better ways in our rules and our tax systems that we can make that a benefit for both the builders, the businesses coming in, as well as the communities to still get that tax revenue, because TIFs will be closed up for 20, 30 years. So.
All right, our next question, we'll first go to Jennifer. To what extent do you support the legalization of marijuana for medical or recreational use in Wisconsin?
Oddly, of all the surveys that I've been getting, that one I didn't get this time. So I did get it 3 years ago when I ran, and I got like an A+ in it. So yippee. I personally think marijuana should be legalized, specifically for medical, and I really don't have a big issue with it otherwise. I've got one parent that just died of cancer and another one in the process. And believe me, if that could make her feel better, I would be all over it. So I actually have a bigger problem with cigarettes, because that we allow, and that's what gives people cancer and makes people sick. So I'm all for finding a better way to actually do something good with that and help people through it. So I have no problem with it.
Thank you. Next we'll go to Jim.
I would agree, yes. I do think we should legalize marijuana. All our neighboring states have. I think we've been, I hear from people oftentimes who ask, why have we not moved on this? There's tax dollars out there that we could be taking in this state instead of it going to other states. So I would very much think we should pursue legalizing all forms. This is an example, in my opinion, of something that the majority of Wisconsinites want us to talk about at the state level. They want us to see some progress in this area. So I'm really hoping as we move forward into the next session that this is something that we talk about on the floor of the Assembly, that we make some progress in this area, because I think there's a lot to be done in this area. But yes, I would answer yes to that question too.
Wisconsin has an abundance of natural resources, including lakes, rivers, forests, and other recreational amenities. What policies would you support to protect Wisconsin's natural resources?
Well, I would agree with you. We have some of the nicest public spaces, public lakes, resources around. As I drive around, I'm constantly reminded of that. And we need to do everything we can to preserve them for us and for future generations. We need to be forward thinking on that. I have been endorsed by the Sierra Club, the Wisconsin Conservation Voters, and that's because they know I'll be a strong voice for preserving our natural resources, putting the environment first when we make decisions about things. There's always a balance, but clearly setting forth policies that preserve clean water and clean air are things we have to prioritize. I hear that from people. They want, the beauty of Wisconsin to be preserved for future generations. And I agree with them. And I will work hard in the state assembly to make sure that those issues are of concern and that we do something about it as well.
Thank you. Jennifer, you're up next.
Yes, I agree. This district is by far the most beautiful area. I really enjoyed driving around and seeing all the open spaces and the water, and every community has something to be proud of. Waterloo specifically has a very old and gorgeous park that most people don't see if you're just driving by, because you're going around the outside of it. It's kind of hidden in the middle of our community. And that's one of the things we've been very proud of, is supporting all of that. In fact, our motto at Waterloo is find your path here. So we want people to be able to walk and bike. Trek Bicycle is by us. They do an awful lot of biking, and they've got a lot of area around us. And there isn't anything I wouldn't do to make sure that we do have the clean water, the clean air, and the amenities that we all cherish and we need. So you look at Madison, and there's a lot of concrete. You come out into these rural areas, and specifically our district, it's beautiful. Lots of space, and yeah, clean water, clean air. I will support all that.
One of the first actions that the legislature takes with the new session is writing the biennial state budget. With the rising cost of living impacting many Wisconsin families, how do you plan to balance the need for revenue with the financial pressures on residents and businesses? Start with Jennifer.
Well, being that I've been on finance ever since I started on city council, I wish I could say I would be on the finance committee when I get to the state, but as a freshman, I will not be. But that doesn't mean I won't have a voice in it. Balancing budgets is tough. All I can say is that the surplus that we have in there, I really need to understand, is that recurring surplus? Is it a one-time surplus? What do we do with that? Personally, I think priorities need to be in line with what government is responsible for, and that is your transportation, that's your fire, your EMS, it's your services, because nothing makes people more mad than a pothole or not getting your garbage picked up. So we have to make sure that we are taxing appropriately. I'm not big on raising taxes by any means, but I'd like to know why we have such a big surplus, especially since we just took away the personal property aid. So to me, that's a good thing. But what else are we going to replace it with? I am all for balancing budgets, but until I get in there and see what they're doing, I mean, the budget is massive. There's an awful lot to it. But we need to make sure we prioritize what we need to be spending on first. And if cuts got to be made, cuts got to be made. Sometimes it's not a popular thing, but I won't know until I get there.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would agree. The cost of living obviously is something a lot of people are dealing with right now. And I can sympathize with that. It's all of us, right? The rising cost of housing or childcare, groceries, whatever it is that, is affecting you. At the state level, I think we do have a surplus. So some of those issues could be addressed, and I think we could provide some relief for residents of our state if we spent some of that surplus, in housing, making childcare more affordable. So, I would say if we have a surplus there, we should be using that to help our residents deal with the things that they're, struggling with on a daily basis. I think, when we say we want to balance the budget, we've done a good job in this state. We have a surplus because of the fiscally conservative way maybe we've set up our budget. So, I think what we can do to provide tax relief for people is great, while we also make sure the wealthiest pay their fair share. I think a lot of that would go towards being able for the state to have the resources to provide the relief that our residents want. We've talked a little bit about EMS services, and that too. We've got this budget surplus. That's an area where we could provide some relief for municipalities in our area. We could increase our shared revenue. That would help with local government offices, municipalities as well. I think we've got an opportunity with that surplus there to do some really good things in the state of Wisconsin. I think we just need to get moving and do some of those.
All right, thank you. Next question is kind of elaborating on that a little bit more. So the state of Wisconsin currently has about a $4 billion surplus, according to nonpartisan Legislative Fiscal Bureau. Would you support spending the current surplus? And if so, what would you support spending it on?
Yeah, I think that surplus is there. That is tax money that we have collected and should be used. I think we have so many needs in this state. For me, some of the priorities for using that first would probably be public schools. We've talked about that a little bit. We've not been funding public schools appropriately. So I think, getting some money out to schools would be great. I think childcare, as we've talked about, is incredibly important. And I really think some of that surplus should go back to local municipalities. I hear all the time that EMS is a major concern. It is a crisis level concern in this area, specifically in my district. People are struggling with how to pay for that, how to move forward. And if there's something that we should be able to agree on, it would be keeping our residents healthy and safe and having emergency services available. So if we could use some of that surplus in those areas, I definitely think we should be supporting the citizens of the state.
Thank you. Next we'll go to Jennifer.
Well, again, it's a matter of, is that surplus a one-time or is it a recurring revenue? So if it's a recurring revenue, then that is something that you can adjust much easier than a one-time. So one-time, yes, we could figure out where we go with it, but going forward, I don't know if anybody's read the shared revenue statute, 79, I believe it is, chapter. Yeah, it's 16 pages, and yeah, it's ridiculous how that formula works. So this last Act 12 gave all municipalities a little bit of bump, which was nice. It was a good start. In fact, in Waterloo, that got me my third full-time fireman and EMS personnel. But if there is going to be this continuous surplus, then we need to make sure that is coming back to the municipalities and the school districts. And we, again, back to my earlier comment, we need to prioritize. What is the highest need? Where do we need to go with it? And again, our roads are bad. We are failing at it. DOT comes through and they give you road projects, and then that doesn't let you do anything else with the rest of your road. So I think there's some formula changes that need to be made, and some of them need to be permanent. But again, if it's a shortfall one time, then let's figure out what to do with that. But obviously you still need to keep your rainy day fund. You still have to have a backup plan.
All right, thank you. So earlier this year, we saw the HSHS hospitals close their door in the Eau Claire area, causing hundreds of people to lose their jobs and thousands to lose their current healthcare providers. What are your plans to support our existing healthcare providers while also ensuring that all individuals have access to quality and affordable healthcare?
Well, healthcare is absolutely the most expensive thing that we have out there. Right now with our city budget coming through, I think it went up 18%, and we're all dealing with that. Why they're closing, I'm really not sure why. Honestly, I've never even heard that before, unfortunately, but I know other places are struggling. I mean, I'm in these doctors' offices and I see the desks that are there and nobody's sitting at them, and the long lines and the long waits. Healthcare is definitely important. We all need it. And I don't know how to help it, but it definitely needs to be supported because it is something that you're going to need forever. So it's unfortunate that that did close. But yeah, we need to figure out how to keep these things going. But healthcare is out of control and it's very expensive. So I don't know what the solution is, but I'm more than happy to look into it.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Clearly, healthcare is important. In my opinion, healthcare is a right, not a privilege. So we need to make sure we are making healthcare accessible and affordable throughout the state. I think people in this area are concerned about losing access. We have a wonderful hospital, wonderful healthcare system in this area. But that doesn't mean we couldn't lose it. And when we hear about the hospital closures in Western Wisconsin, that should concern all of us. And I know it does concern the residents of this area. We'd like to make sure Fort Healthcare stays here and stays vibrant as a part of our community. I think there's a couple of things we can do when it comes to healthcare. One of those is expand Medicaid, as other states have. We've talked about it in Wisconsin, but have made no progress on that. I would say that's one major step we could do to decrease premiums, make things a little bit more affordable for people. I would also say we have some money set aside to help the hospital systems in the western part of the state. Unfortunately, it's sitting in Madison. We haven't released those funds yet. I think it's, another example of a place where, we need to come together, sit at the same table and have conversations about this and just get something done when it comes to healthcare. This is just too important of a topic for us to sit back and let some, partisan bickering get in the way of what we know can be very valuable to our residents and, keep them safe and healthy. So those are a couple ideas, things that I would look to do in the next session.
Thank you. So this last spring, over 90 Wisconsin school districts went to referendum to address potential funding needs. How do you plan to ensure equitable and sustainable funding for K-12 education across all districts? What specific policies or reforms would you propose to address the funding disparities and support districts that are struggling financially?
Well, I did spend 33 years teaching high school math, and so I've been in public schools. They are incredibly valuable to the community and to the families they serve. So in my opinion, there is no greater investment we can make than in our schools and our families and our children. So in my mind, there's a few things we could look at as far as funding. One thing we've really dropped the ball on is special ed funding. We need to reimburse districts at a higher rate than we currently are. That would go a long way to making funding more equitable throughout districts. I think we need to, in general, look at the school funding formula, the revenue limit formula as well. It's outdated and, it might have served a purpose at one point, but we need to take a look at that and update it. It's causing a lot of disparities in funding. I am not a fan of using public tax money to support private, mostly religious schools. I think those are all areas we can look at. We have wonderful schools in this state. We have wonderful teachers. I've worked with so many of them. We have very supportive parents in this state as well. I think anything we can do also to recruit and retain good quality teachers, treat them as professionals, would be a great step forward as well. I think there's a lot we can do in public education. I think we need to see it as the investment that it is.
Thank you, Joan. Jennifer.
Like any public entity that is taking in tax dollars, whether you're a municipality or a school district, we all have to be responsible to the money that we are getting because we're all paying into that. So the formulas are bad all around, whether it's a school district, municipalities, they all need to be looked at. And a little bit of Act 12 did get a good start on that. As far as schools, being on the school board for 9 years, I've seen some good administrators go through and I've seen some bad ones go through. So again, just like anything else, you have to make sure you are being responsible with those tax dollars. I personally think the parents should have the right to send their child to any school they want. If it is a private school, they're going to pay the difference. School districts still get that money, but at the same time, you are still a business of teaching students. That is your job. If you are not doing a good job at that, things need to be changed. And I'm not saying there's bad schools. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that people need to be responsible with those tax dollars, and we need to look at the formulas that are going through with that.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you both for participating tonight. Before we close things out, is there anything else that you feel that it is important for voters to know about you prior to the election? Let's start with Jennifer.
This isn't our closing. This is just in general.
I think this is the closing.
Is it?
Closing.
Okay, that's fine. As the mayor of Waterloo, I work with all parties. So none of us on my council wear our party on our sleeve. And that's what I intend to do at the state. I do not care if it's a Republican idea or a Democrat idea. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea. I think we need to have more bipartisan support at the state level and stop all the fighting. DC, whole different animal, not even going there. But within our state, going through all these districts, all 19 of them, I've still got a handful left to go through. We all have the same issues. We need our roads fixed. We need our EMS. We need these things taken care of. So that's the stuff that we need to be working on at the state. I don't want to keep arguing over things over and over. She did bring up abortion. We've got a 2015 law that Walker signed into place. It's 20 weeks. I'm not sure why we're still arguing about that and fighting over that. If something needs to be solidified, if it needs to be more concrete, fine, let's have that conversation. But I'm going there to work and actually try and get something done. I don't want to keep repeating the same issues year after year after year. Our time in there is very short. We're there for like a year and a half and then we're back out campaigning. So personally, I would like these to be a little bit longer so you can get something done. But that's who I am. I care about the municipalities and that's my passion. You know, when you call 911, you don't say, send me a Democrat or send me a Republican. You say, send me help. So I'm going to be that cooperative voice and I'm going to bring my background and experience. I know what I know and I'm going to learn what I don't. There's only 32 different assembly committees to go on. No idea where I'm going to be, but I'll try and push for the stuff that I really care the most about. So thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Joe.
So thank you once again for having us here tonight. This really has been a very nice event. Thank you for everyone who came tonight. It was great to see so many interested people here. You know, I would just say in closing, I am really excited to get to the assembly, and bring that common sense, collaborative, responsive representation that we've been talking about tonight. I've gotten a lot of support as I've been out knocking doors. I've been at events and at meetings throughout the district. You know, people are genuinely happy to have a representative who is willing to listen, shares their concerns, wants to be a part of the community. So it's been great seeing all of that support. I've been endorsed by Everytown for Gun Safety, Fair Wisconsin, Emily's List, Wisconsin Progress, a variety of unions. You can go on my website, see a whole list if you want. I just think it goes to how much excitement there is around our campaign, and the message that we've been sharing is really resonating with a lot of people throughout the district. When I talk to people, I do hear a lot from people. And they say to me, you know, what I really want more than anything in a representative is someone who will, go to Madison, work with other people, work collaboratively, and move beyond some of the, what they see as kind of polarizing politics we've had. We want to move beyond some of that divisiveness. And I say to them, you know what, together we can do that. We can move Wisconsin forward and really make great change happen. I promise to be a representative who will work hard. I'll reach across the aisle when we have common issues and concerns. My door will always be open. I want to listen to constituents. And, I'll be a very strong advocate for the people of this district. And I would be so honored to earn your vote this November. So thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you to both candidates for being here tonight. It was great to learn more about you.